that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my Black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one.
Traveler.
All right, everyone. Today we're looking at a sovereign citizen case where the defendant actually requested an attorney this time. That alone might sound like progress, but don't be misled. He's still fully committed to the sovereign citizen belief system. He was stopped for driving without a valid license, had a custom license plate that read Traveler, and the situation escalated when he refused to cooperate with officers. Let's get into it, because this case took some unexpected turns. I'm especially interested in hearing your thoughts on his attorney, because her behavior in court stood out in a surprising way.
She and I have already discussed it on this case, and we just both want you to hear the PC, if we can, Judge.
Okay.
And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge. Right.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word Traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide...
Traveler. Okay.
During the stop, the defendant refused to provide ID or insurance information, stating, "I do not consent to this." Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Okay. Tell me what.
So we looked at, Madam Prosecutor, the interference with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give them that, then it is an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, if it was a resisting or something to that effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't disagree.
It's classic sovereign case where got the license plate, think that traveling by right is what I think how they term it.
In this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer. It was pretty.
But he still has a duty. If they're asking you to come out, they can lawfully do that. And there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
We don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think under the circumstances of what actually happened, it was not Mr. Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know, did you hear that on the video? Right. And so in reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity to respond per the prosecutor. In this situation, it wasn't as if he was intentionally.
Remember, this is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
so
I agree.
They ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, it's really that's. So, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoke your bond. Your bond is set at 2501, and you've continually failed to appear. So, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with that? How do we deal with that, Timberland?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration, we have a Black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular climate, that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my Black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two, when they do come in contact with police, and my mother is assistant chief of police, so I can understand, even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know is whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a police officer as a parent, or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was grown up what you do. I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he reacted to this particular court, it is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration, number one, from his perspective.
From the defense side, things quickly became unusual. The attorney leaned into arguments that didn't seem well supported, and her approach toward her client was extremely protective, almost to the point of distraction. It was far more personal than what you typically see in a courtroom, and it raised a lot of eyebrows. I've watched plenty of court proceedings, and this level of interaction between an attorney and client is not common. Let me know if you've ever seen anything like this before. One of the main arguments was that officers didn't have proper justification to act, but that's a tough position to defend. When law enforcement instructs someone to step out of a vehicle, especially when there are obvious issues like improper registration, that instruction is legally supported. In this case, the license plate alone was enough to draw attention, regardless of personal beliefs about the law. Those arguments are unlikely to succeed in front of a judge who sticks closely to established legal standards. Another important factor is that the defendant had previously failed to appear in court. Skipping a court date can carry serious consequences, including additional charges or even a warrant. On top of that, resisting during an arrest is a separate issue that can significantly worsen the situation. Taken together, this was not a strong position for the defense, and it was difficult to see how their strategy would lead to a favorable outcome.
All defendants, can't just say this, but I do see that, from what I've known from this particular case and now in talking to him, I do believe that there is a sense of sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they just don't. So I'm asking to reinstate his PR bond. I am now on the case. What you know about me, I'm a tight attorney. I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him and getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve this. Let's take care of this.
I'll buy it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times. It's out. I'm not going to do it again. Do you understand, Mr. Daly? I mean, when you come to court, good things happen. When you don't show up and you continually do it, you can't expect good things to happen. Now, do you have a Texas driver's license?
Not right now.
You're not allowed to drive.
Right.
You have a bond condition and you've signed an affidavit with me today promising you're not going to drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving, traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile, a motorcycle, anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the road unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care if you have to go to church. I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberly, I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'll talk to her. We were going to try to talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy today.
I think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes,
so you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off. We good? I'm not asking for much, man. Really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. It's just the way it works. And as a young Black man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong really quick. And there's evidence of that over and over and over.
Honestly, I was surprised by how lenient the result felt, given the missed court appearance, the lack of cooperation, and the clear violations. This seemed like a case where firmer consequences could have been applied. I'm not saying every case needs the harshest penalty possible, but this one appeared to warrant a stronger response than what was given. What really stood out to me, though, was the attorney's courtroom conduct. It felt unprofessional at times and shifted focus away from the legal facts that mattered most. I'm not familiar with her overall work, so I can't judge beyond this case, but her approach here was unusual and, in my opinion, counterproductive. Overall, the case was entertaining, even though the defendant himself didn't say much. Most of the arguments came from the attorney, and I don't think that approach helped the situation. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think, especially about the attorney's behavior. That's the main point I wanted to highlight. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching and take care.